and they will only keep recreating themselves if they solve problems. But as I spoke about in my Western Rationalist series, all 11 parts of it, say totalitarian memes are usually suicidal memes, and that's why they consistently people bring up these ideas of totalitarianism, and then they die out. They burn themselves out because all the people, the actual genetic information is actually destroyed because through genocide and neo-feudalism, and although you could say neo-feudalism is a meme and it's a totalitarian meme in itself. Excuse me. When Richard Dawkins says about, it's rational to believe A, B, C, D. There is no free will. I mean, he did say that, but he actually decided to say that. It wasn't the force of all the different information forcing him to have that view. I mean, that is basically down to the fact that we don't know all the information. To give a Epicurean slant on it, we don't know all information. If you're a theist or an atheist, you're basing your point of view on a paradox, in that you're stating an absolute when you don't know all of those things. But to give a Stoic point of view, as I said in my other video, you can attempt to know everything. That's what the journey of knowledge is about. That's what the concept of the logos is about, i.e. reason. Reason would be the only law in the universe, or aptness to the context, which would make any sense, and which would make human beings, although that wouldn't be the primary condition for the universe, our own sort of egotism, that it must make sense to us. But this interesting video I saw, Why Theists Hate Atheists, gave me a bit of an epiphany. He said that a theist went on a date with an atheist, and he rejected her because it got to the subject of religion. So she started to talk about, she felt that he had rejected God rather than what he really said he was, which was basically agnostic. He was sceptical on the idea of God. Right? Now, of course, I'm neutral in this because, as I'll explain, but she started to explain her friend to him in such a way that would want to make him go out with her. This person who made this very intelligent video said that she described her, this other person, as so brilliant that of course he could not resist going out with her. But of course the skeptic, being in that sort of vein of mind, or said, in the sort of the modern use of the word skeptic, said that this person is so close to what I would like to meet, to the person I would like to meet, she could not possibly exist because she'd be so perfect beyond my view. And of course he was making the link between the person that the theist was describing to the atheist for his second blind date as being God, and she said, although she does exist, there is an actual person, her description of it is so profound, that he's not quite certain whether this person is actually all the theist is saying she is. Which struck me as quite profound. But then he goes on further, he says, why is it that she feels all these emotional feelings of negative feelings towards the atheist? Because to her, God is is her, you know. How does he know her so well? Because he is her, in a sense, because he's the maker of the video is saying that God is the person's ego. Right, so from an evolutionary point of view, right, which I'll get to in just a second, if Stoic philosophy says it's not always the things that happen, but our interpretations of them and the way that we use our emotions. We can control our emotions, of course, you know, and things like empathy, of course, useful, right? Those are the things that keep society together and make it function. A world without emotions, even for a Stoic, would not make sense, you know. But certain emotions like anger, or these feelings of rejection, as I said with this person who was this example of a person who was a theist in this other person's video, describe somebody who cannot deal with their emotions in a rational way. You know, they're not using emotions as tools. The tools of emotions are controlling that person. Okay, so you know, anger, as I said, anger is sort of a pollution in us. Anger has destroyed cities. So, you know, the Stoics believed in restraint in terms of anger, because anger can cloud rationality. You know, and what do I mean by rationality? Rationality is the use of logic, i.e., that two contradictions can't make something mean that something is either. I mean, they must, if they're contradictory, they must lead to something which is not that, you know, it adds up to something. I mean, if you add A and B together and make a synthesis of those things, it is greater than A and B. You know, so there is a truth, but sort of our understanding of the different things that are going on, the different contexts of life, are bringing us to a conclusion which our emotions can tell us we can accept or not. You know, it does not necessarily have to be one conclusion. Truth could be any number of different things, but there is a certain purity in truth. Right, so I've said that. Right, so if somebody from an evolutionary point of view, you know, given that I can neither, from a scientific point of view, I can neither prove or disprove the existence of God. I can only say that I'm reducing the margin of error by learning more about the subjects and different points of view, right? And empirically proving or disproving them. If there is no God, why did evolution make the subject of God apt to continue in evolution as a cultural meme or as a way of solving problems? I mean, that would be my assertion to the atheist. In question, you know, why has that continued? On the other side, which of course is using the psychological argument against the theist, why would somebody find it so disturbing, the idea that there is no God? You know, certainly at some point in time, for either social cohesion or an idea in law, God is an important concept. For instance, say you go to a new area of the world, it's uninhabited, somebody claims it, right? But more people, like say Locke's Charter, arrive. Now basically, the only way to get around property right disputes and everything else is to say that, or the domination of one individual or community of individuals by one person acting outside the law, which is the agreed norms of society and culture.